With only a few days left until Christmas, the towering 12-foot fir tree at my parents' estate sparkled with crystal ornaments, casting a lovely light over the snowy scenery of Elm Street. The dining table, adorned with royal Doulton china, was already set for the Christmas dinner. I'm Sarah Thompson, a real estate agent in Oakville, living with my husband David and our 6-year-old son Ethan in a new residential area about 15 minutes away from this affluent neighborhood. David earns approximately $70,000 as a middle manager at a tech firm. While we may not be wealthy, we have created a happy home together. Ethan, who goes to Maplewood Elementary, our local public school, is a bright and sincere child, well-liked by his peers. Inspired by my mother, a former high school teacher, I have a deep passion for education. Assisting Ethan with his homework and reading together has become a treasured part of my daily routine. Every Sunday, our family gathers for dinner at my parents' house. My sister Jessica is married to a prominent surgeon. My sister Emily is a lawyer, and my youngest brother James is a university professor, all marriages my parents proudly deem appropriate. My parents' white Georgian mansion, constructed in the 1920s, stands as a testament to Oakville's history and tradition. My father, a retired investment banker, and my mother, a significant figure in Oakville's social scene, maintain an image of charitable involvement and are respected members of the First Methodist Church. My siblings and I share the duty of looking after our aging parents. Jessica coordinates priority appointments at Oakville Hospital. I manage contracts and maintenance with Heritage Estate Services. Emily offers legal advice on wills and inheritance, and James oversees the investment portfolio. However, recently, Ethan has been hesitant to visit his grandparents. "Mom, do I have to go to Grandma's house?" Ethan's question tugged at my heartstrings. While my parents lavish expensive lessons and extravagant birthday gifts on their other grandchildren, they remain distant toward Ethan. At luncheons of the Oakville Women's Club, my mother often talks at length about her other grandchildren, seldom mentioning Ethan. Our brick house may be modest compared to my parents' mansion, but this modern colonial home that David and I chose together is filled with the warmth of family life. Weekends spent playing catch with Ethan in the nearby park or enjoying backyard barbecues. Can't my parents see the joy in these simple moments? "It's all right, Ethan. Mom and Dad are here for you," I said, hugging my son tightly, determined to protect him this Christmas, no matter what. Standing on our balcony, gazing down at the chestnut trees and tulip garden, I let out a deep sigh, feeling a sense of unease about the upcoming family gathering. On Christmas afternoon, as we pulled up to my parents' house, I noticed Jessica's luxury SUV already parked in the driveway. Ethan, stepping out of our car and nervously fiddling with the collar of his new red sweater, gripped my hand tightly. "I don't want to go." "It's okay, Ethan. I'm sure Santa has brought you something special," David said, gently nudging our son's shoulder, though I could sense the tension in his voice. As we opened the heavy front door, we were greeted by warm air and the enticing sense of roast turkey, cinnamon, and pumpkin pie. The 24-pound butterball turkey was already browning beautifully in the oven. "Sarah, you finally made it," my mother called from the foyer, dressed in a white cashmere sweater and a sparkling pearl necklace. She barely acknowledged Ethan, giving only my cheek a light kiss. "You're late. Jessica's kids are already here." From the living room, the excited chatter of my nieces and nephews filled the air. Beneath the towering 12-foot Christmas tree lay a mountain of presents adorned with colorful ribbons. Jessica's twins were engrossed in the latest gaming console, while Emily's daughter was busy learning programming on her new tablet. "Merry Christmas, Patricia," my father greeted, scotch in hand. Here, I was always referred to by my maiden name, Patricia. He still refused to acknowledge my married name, Thompson. "Ethan, come here," Jessica called out. My sister treated Ethan as kindly as the other children, but today there was a hint of apology in her eyes. "Oh, that sweater. Did you get it at Target?" Mother remarked, eyeing Ethan with a sarcastic tone. Yes, it was a $25 sweater from Target, but Ethan had been so proud of this red sweater. As dinner time drew near, the house buzzed with energy. James engaged in intellectual discussions befitting a young professor, Emily shared intriguing stories from her law firm, and Jessica's husband explained the latest advancements in medical technology. My parents listened with satisfied expressions. However, when David began to talk about his work, Father merely grunted and intentionally shifted the conversation. When Ethan attempted to share stories from school, Mother interrupted with, "Let's save the children's stories for later." The lavish dinner table was centered around the roast turkey, accompanied by homemade cranberry sauce, green bean casserole, sweet potato casserole, and a special pumpkin pie from Whole Foods. The dishes, arranged on royal Doulton china, looked like something out of a magazine. "Let us say grace," Father announced, and everyone closed their eyes and clasped their hands. "Lord, we thank you for this bountiful meal, our successful children, and our wonderful grandchildren." Even within the words of the prayer, there lingered an unspoken discrimination. After dinner, it was time to exchange gifts. The entire family gathered around the fireplace. First, Jessica's children received large boxes filled with the latest gaming consoles and designer clothing. Emily's kids were given educational tablets, while James's child unwrapped premium sports equipment and a programming learning set. The room buzzed with the excited voices of the children. Finally, it was Ethan's turn. "Here, Ethan, it's your turn," Mother said, extending a small box toward him. Ethan's eyes sparkled with anticipation as he carefully peeled away the wrapping paper. I held my breath, watching intently. When he opened the box, it was empty. "He doesn't need anything," Mother said with a malicious smile. The atmosphere in the room turned icy. Large tears began to stream down Ethan's cheeks. I shot a glare at Mother but said nothing. No words were needed. I quietly stood up, wrapped my arms around my sobbing son, and left the room. David silently followed us. A heavy silence enveloped the space, and I heard Jessica let out a small sigh as we made our way to the entrance. I glanced at the family photographs on the wall. They depicted a seemingly happy family, but now they felt like a facade. Outside, the snow continued to fall softly. The Christmas decorations on the houses sparkled, but they seemed to lack warmth. In the rearview mirror of the car, I watched my parents' mansion shrink in size. In the back seat, Ethan wiped his tears with the sleeve of his new red sweater. "Hey, Ethan," David said gently as he drove. "Daddy and Mommy love you very much. That will never change, no matter what Grandpa and Grandma think." The next morning before dawn, my smartphone began buzzing incessantly. The family group chat was flooded with messages of anger and sadness. "What happened last night is absolutely unacceptable," Jessica's message flashed on the screen. "Our parents' actions are a clear case of emotional abuse," Catherine, with her professional insight, chimed in. "I would never treat even my students this way." Even James, usually composed, sent an unusually passionate message. Then came the responses from our parents. Sarah's choices led to this outcome. This is what happens when you marry someone with such limited education. As I stared at the screen, Ethan slept soundly beside me, exhausted. He had woken several times from nightmares the previous night and had eventually ended up sleeping in our bedroom. The siblings convened at Emily's law office. From the high-rise windows in Manhattan, the cityscape of Oakville appeared hazily in the distance. "Let me start by explaining the legal perspective," Emily said, opening her laptop. "In some cases, discriminatory treatment of grandchildren by grandparents can be grounds for legal action, but that should be a last resort." Jessica maintained a calm demeanor befitting a doctor. "What we need now are effective measures against our parents." James stood by the whiteboard, outlining their current support system. "I've calculated how their lifestyle would be affected if we stopped all Sunday dinners, medical transportation, and home maintenance management." He displayed his spreadsheet. "Our support has allowed them to sustain their luxurious way of life." "Jessica, I wonder if they even realize we've been covering their Oakville Country Club dues. We've also been the ones truly supporting the church charity events," Emily added. That afternoon, we set our concrete action plan into motion. First, Jessica reached out to our parents' primary physician. "I'm sorry, but we'll have to discontinue transportation support." Next, Emily contacted the home maintenance company. "We won't be renewing the regular maintenance contract." James instructed the investment advisor, "Please remove my name from my parents' account management." The impact on social media spread surprisingly fast. In the Oakville Women's Club private group, the Christmas party incident became the main topic of discussion. Longtime friends began severing ties with Mother one by one. Changes were also noticeable in the church community, as our parents were quietly removed from charity event committees. Richard and Linda seemed to be losing their footing. The whispers among the church ladies circulated quietly. Changes began to manifest in the mansion itself. The tulips went untended, roof leaks remained unrepaired, and when the heating system malfunctioned, there were no contractors to call. Tax preparations started to fall behind. Had our parents never realized that we had been managing all these practical matters for years? "How's Ethan?" Jessica asked with concern. "He's slowly regaining his spirit," I replied. "David practices baseball with him every evening. The love surrounding him seems to be healing him." "My kids want to play with Ethan too," Emily said. "Why don't we have a hot chocolate party at my house this weekend?" The cousins enjoyed playing with Ethan, blissfully unaware of the complicated adult situation. The kindness of his cousins gradually helped mend Ethan's emotional wounds. On a snowy evening, I looked out my window at the street. It had been days since we had heard from my parents. Sometimes I questioned whether this was the right choice, but every time I saw Ethan's smile, I was reassured that our decision was not wrong. Shortly after the new year began, unexpected visitors arrived at our door. When I opened it, I was taken aback to see my parents, looking unfamiliar. Mother's usually perfectly styled hair was disheveled, and father wore a worn cashmere sweater instead of his typical luxury suit. They both appeared to have aged significantly in just 2 weeks. "Sarah, can we talk?" Mother's voice lacked its usual arrogance. I led them into the living room, where David quietly brought in coffee. Ethan was playing in his room upstairs, and the scent of breakfast toast still lingered in the air. Father spoke first. "The truth is, we're struggling to cope." Their predicament quickly became clear. Their Oakville hospital appointments had been canceled, preventing father from getting his regular checkups. The Heritage Estate maintenance contract hadn't been renewed, leaving various house issues unresolved, and tax preparations had stalled, with late payment notices piling up. "But your pension," Mother suddenly broke down in tears, interrupting me. "It's not enough. We've been living beyond our means, trying to keep up appearances." Father pulled a bill from his wallet, a payment reminder from the Oakville Country Club. "Our friends have abandoned us. We've lost our place at church." Mother's makeup began to run. "Did you know?" Father asked quietly, "that we couldn't survive without your support?" "Yes, we knew," I replied. "But why, Ethan?" At that moment, Mother's expression shifted, revealing a complex mix of pride and regret. "I'll be honest," she began, clutching her handkerchief with trembling hands. "I couldn't accept your marriage, a daughter of a prominent Oakville family marrying a mere IT manager. But David is a wonderful husband and father," I responded quietly but firmly. "Yes," Mother said, gazing out the window as she continued, "but I had my pride, my position in society, my reputation at church, the judgment of my friends. So, Ethan, yes, that child was a reminder of the marriage that betrayed our expectations. Every week at family dinner, seeing him." Father interrupted, "No, Linda, that's not right." Mother turned in surprise at Father's unexpected words. "We were wrong. Our vanity and pride blinded us to what truly matters." His voice trembled. "We maintained our luxurious lifestyle thanks to your support, and we repaid that kindness with cruelty." Mother remained silent, gripping her handkerchief tightly. "We apologize," Father said, bowing his head deeply to Ethan and to our family. However, Mother's attitude still felt somewhat different. "But our social standing." At that moment, we heard a small sound from upstairs. Ethan was sitting halfway up the stairs. How much of the conversation had he overheard? "Grandma, why don't you like me?" Ethan's innocent question froze the atmosphere in the room. Mother stared at him, speechless for the first time. True regret flickered in her eyes. I don't deserve forgiveness." The mask Mother had worn for years seemed to crumble. "But if you'll allow me," her voice broke, "could we start over as a real family?" I watched Ethan in silence. Should we really burden a 6-year-old with such heavy emotions? Yet in my son's eyes, I saw something that adults often overlook. "Don't cry, Grandma," he said as he came down the stairs and approached Mother. "I have my red sweater. I'll let you borrow it." At those innocent words, Mother's pride shattered completely. Ignoring her running makeup, she began to sob openly. Father stood silently and walked to the window. Outside, the New Year's snow continued to fall softly. Would you give us a chance? Father's voice trembled slightly. I exchanged glances with David, who gave a small nod. But there are conditions, I said, facing my parents. You must truly accept Ethan and our way of life, not for appearances or social standing, but from your hearts. My parents nodded silently. Change wouldn't happen overnight, but from that day forward, a new chapter in our family story was beginning. 3 months passed. My parents' house on Elm Street no longer exuded its former luxury. Their Oakville Country Club membership had lapsed, and Mother's beloved Royal Doulton china set was up for sale. Weekly housekeeping services had been canceled, and they now tended to the tulip garden themselves. What is true happiness, really? Mother sighed as she pulled weeds in the garden, wearing work gloves from the hardware store instead of her luxurious leather ones. Father had set aside his pride as a retired investment banker and started volunteering as a bookkeeper at the local senior center. Though unpaid, he wore a look of peace that hadn't been there before. Money and status weren't everything after all, Father murmured while playing catch with Ethan on weekends. Those words seemed to carry genuine regret and realization. Change came gradually but surely. My parents now attended new family dinners at our house every Saturday. Although the meals weren't as extravagant as before, our homemade lasagna felt somehow warmer. Look, Grandma, I drew this, Ethan said, showing Mother his family drawing from school, and small tears glistened in her eyes. It's beautiful, Ethan. May I hang it in my room? Those words were free of their former arrogance. Jessica resumed helping with medical appointments. Emily restarted legal consultations, and James assisted with their now modest household finances. However, this time we who provided support had clear conditions. Love should be unconditional, Emily stated at our siblings' meeting. But support needs conditions. A new support system was established to sustain our parents' retirement, this time with mutual responsibilities and promises documented in a notarized agreement. Of course, not everything has gone smoothly. Occasionally, Mother's old habits resurface. When invited by friends from her former social circle, she feels tempted to maintain appearances. But Father quietly reminds her, Linda, remember what truly matters. At First Methodist Church, our parents have moved from their front row seats to the back, sitting among ordinary parishioners seeking genuine prayer rather than superficial faith. We had strayed from God's teachings, Jessica witnessed Father confessing to the pastor. After leaving the Oakville Women's Club, Mother joined a local book club instead, where titles and appearances don't matter, just people sharing their love of books. I never knew such warm connections existed, Mother admits sincerely. Changes have also appeared in their home. Luxurious decorations have vanished, replaced by Ethan's drawings and family photos. The Christmas tree has shrunk from a towering 12 feet to a cozy 6 feet, but the time spent decorating it together has become invaluable. Maybe this is what true luxury means, Mother mused. Financial worries about retirement haven't completely disappeared, but for the first time, our parents are confronting reality and choosing to live an honest, modest life. Now I realize how much we lost through our pride and vanity. Father's words are laced with deep regret and newfound hope. The most significant change has been in their relationship with Ethan. Grandpa, thank you for coming to watch my baseball game. Ethan waves to Father in the stands during his Little League game. Grandma, thank you. Thank you for helping me with math, he exclaims, hugging Mother after she assists him with his homework. A child's pure heart has begun to weave new bonds, forgiving the adult's past mistakes. A child's unconditional love is the greatest gift of all. Mother quietly weeps as she reflects on the incident with the empty Christmas box. Our family is starting to discover genuine happiness that money and status could never provide. It's not flashy or grand, but it's a warm, lasting happiness that reaches deep into our hearts. There will surely be more challenges ahead, Jessica says. But now we understand. We know how precious true family bonds really are. Outside the window, spring sunlight streams in, and new buds begin to sprout on the chestnut trees lining Elm Street. In the dappled sunlight, I can see Ethan helping his grandparents tend to the garden. The box that was once empty is now filled with precious memories and valuable lessons learned.